What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So this news just broke just minutes before I hit record today. John Spytek has been hired as the next general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders head coach search continues. They missed out on Lions offensive coordinator who we will get to a little bit later in the show, very shortly. Spytek's been around for a while. He was in the scouting department for a very long time. Came up as a pro scout with the Eagles in the late 2000s. Eventually was the director of college scouting for Cleveland in the early 2010s for a few years. Then he was a national scout for Denver briefly. He was director of player personnel in Tampa from 2016 to 2020. Then got promoted to the vice president of player personnel for 2 years, and the last 2 years has been their assistant general manager. So he's been around for a while, John Spytek. The Raiders, this is not a bad hire, I don't think. The Raiders, they have drafted very poorly for a very long time, and he's a big-time scouting guy. You know, he looks at the organization that he's worked for, the Eagles, and I mean, the Bucs draft fairly well, I'd say. They've drafted, kind of okay. So this is a okay hire. It's hard to tell if, GM's going to work out or not. It's a little harder than coaches. Overall, I think it's a decent hire. He was a pretty hot candidate this year, and as well as the last couple of years. He's been in Tampa for the last 8 seasons, actually the last 9 seasons in some capacity. Like I said, he was in the player personnel department for a while, and was their assistant general manager the last 2 years. And I mean, the GM over there, Jason Light, I don't think is great. But this is, to me, just an okay hire. Could have done better. It's also the Raiders. Knowing them, it's going to be horrible, and he'll be out of a job in 3 years, but it's an okay hire. At least it's something for the Raiders, as I'm sure now they look towards the next head coach. I don't know who that's going to be, because the guy they really wanted was Ben Johnson. They were not quite able to get him. But one more move that happened. It's kind of random. This is actually in basketball. The Suns trade a unprotected first round back in 2031 to the Utah Jazz. They get 3 firsts in return. They get the lesser of these 3 firsts this year, 2025, between Cleveland and Minnesota. The lesser in 2027 between Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah. And the lesser in 2029 between those 3 teams as well. So, for Phoenix, I think it makes sense. I mean, they don't have a lot of unprotected picks, but they're obviously trying to trade for Jimmy Butler. That gives them more ammunition to do so. I don't think it's a very smart trade for them, because they already have a lot of veterans making a lot of money. They don't really have a true starting point guard, don't really have a true starting center. They have no depth. They don't play any defense. I mean, Butler wouldn't be a bad addition to them. He's a very good player. He's also a great defender, so that would help them in that end. I mean, if they don't give up players for him, it gives them a little more depth maybe, but they're going to have to give up, obviously, something, whether it's Bradley Beal or Yusuf Nurkic or whoever it is. And also, he's a free agent after the season, though. The Suns are the one team I think is willing to pay him what he wants, but again, I'm not sure where that money's going to be coming from, and I'm not even sure if it's a great idea, especially if it's a long-term deal, because he is 35 years old. For Utah, I don't really understand. You traded 3 firsts for a 2031 first-round pick, a first-rounder in 6 years. You traded the first this year, 2 years from now and 4 years from now for a first-rounder at 6 years from now. That doesn't make any sense. Danny Ainge is very weird with his draft pick trades. I don't really understand this from the Utah Jazz perspective at all. All right, MLB Hall of Fame. 3 players were named to the MLB Hall of Fame. The first one was Ichiro Suzuki. Ichiro is one of the greatest hitters of all time. Spent the majority of his career, of course, with the Seattle Mariners. Played in Japan for 7 years, and then was with Seattle from 2001 to 2012. And then in 2012, midway through, he was sent to the Yankees. Was with the Yankees through 2014, and spent a 3 years with the Marlins. And then his last 2 years, and then he briefly was in Seattle in 2018 and 2019 once again. 19-year career, great career. He was a .311 career hitter, over 3,000 career hits, 3,089 career hits, and over 1,200 hits in Japan as well. 10-time Gold Glove Award winner. He had 200 hits in a season 10 times. The single-season record for hits in a season, I think that was back in 2006 maybe, with the Seattle Mariners. Yeah, he had 2004 he had 262 hits. That's just absolutely insane. That is just incredible. Unfortunately, never got a huge taste of the postseason because he was with Seattle for so many years, and the Yankees were just kind of on the downswing when He was there briefly. You know, the Marlins weren't good when he was there, but one of the greatest hitters of all time. You know, obviously was a great right fielder as well. I can't believe there was one person that didn't vote for him. They need to find who that guy is, and they need to eviscerate that guy. That was just that's terrible. But Ichiro was one of the greatest hitters in the history of Major League Baseball. He hit over 300 every year until 2011, and his first year was 2001. Just one of the greatest hitters of all time. Very underrated, and very deserving first ballot Hall of Famer. Should have been unanimous. CC Sabathia also gets in. He was a great starting pitcher for a long time. I do believe he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Played from 2001 to 2019. Was in Cleveland for a while, from 2001 until midway through 2008. Of course, he was traded to the Brewers, as he was in a contract year in 2008 at the trade deadline, and just had a historically great 2 or 3 month stretch there with the Milwaukee Brewers in 17 starts. Went 11-2 for 1.65 ERA, 130 and 2/3 innings. He had 128 strikeouts against 25 walks. And then the last 11 years of his career was with the New York Yankees. First career in 19 years, 251, 161, and 560 career starts over 3,500 career innings, over 3,000 career strikeouts, over 251 wins, 3.74 ERA. If you're a pitcher, the standards for Hall of Fame, if you have 3,000 strikeouts and 250 career wins, you're most likely going to be a Hall of Famer if you're as a starting pitcher. And he has that 3,093 strikeouts and 251 wins. So he's close, but I think he's just over the line is what I would say. He made a few All-Star appearances. He had 6-time All-Star. He won a World Series with the Yankees. His first year was a Yankee in 2009. Led the league in wins his first 2 years in the Bronx. In 2009 and 2010, he had 15 or more wins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and he had a great career. And he is now in the Hall of Fame. Was a fan favorite in the Bronx. Also getting is Billy Wagner. This happened took way too long for Billy Wagner to get into Hall of Fame. One of the greatest closers of all time. In his career, he had 853 career games. Played from 1995 to 2010. In 16 seasons with Houston from 95 to 03. He was in Philly from 04 to 05 for 2 years. And with the Mets from 06 to 09. Maybe through 09 was traded to Boston and finished with the Atlanta Braves in 2010. He was a 7-time All-Star for his career. In 853 career games, he had a 2.31 career ERA, 9-3 innings, over 1,100 strikeouts, whip under 1, 422 career saves. He was always a great reliever. In his last season in the big leagues, in 2010, he was 38 years old. In 71 games, he had a 1.43 ERA and 37 saves in 69 in the third, and is at 38 years of age in his last year with the Atlanta Braves when he was an All-Star. As consistent as it gets. The only year he was bad was 2000. With the Astros, he was really bad. A year over 6, but that year was an injury-plagued year for him. Other than that, he never had an ERA over above 2.85. Just one of the most consistent closers in MLB history. To me, very underrated. When it comes to closers, there aren't many that are better than him. Definitely one of the top 6 or 7 closers of all time, if you ask me. And he is now in the Hall of Fame. To me, this took way too long to put Billy Wagner in the MLB Hall of Fame. Carlos Beltran got close, came up a little short, as did Andrew Jones. I do think both will get in next year. I think both are Hall of Famers, and I think they will both get in next year. All right, so a couple of hires that happened. Let's start on the coordinator side of things. Colts hire Lou Anarumo as their defensive coordinator. This one I don't understand. So the Colts, obviously, they didn't have a great year. We're at 7, 10, 8, 9, whatever. You know, is a bit of a disaster. And oh my goodness, we have breaking news. The New York Jets have hired Aaron Glenn as the next head coach. Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn is the next head coach. Look, as long as Woody owns the team, this team is going to be a disaster. I like Aaron Glenn. I really do. I really, really do. But I don't know if this is the right fit. The Jets have been trying to do this with defensive guys for years. From Rex Ryan to Todd Bowles with Robert Saleh. Of course, Jeff Ulbrich was the interim coach most of the season. I don't know how. Look, Glenn, I think will bring good culture, which Jets do need. He will bring a good. He'll bring a lot of good structure to any organization. I don't doubt that. He seems like a guy that the players really, really like. Seems very down to earth. I don't think was a former Jets player. Was a very good defensive back for Jets for a while years ago. And I don't doubt that he can be a very good head coach in this league, but I don't think it's what the Jets need. Look, the Jets have a lot of talent defensively if they're healthy, from Quinn Williams and Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson coming back, CJ Mosley, Sauce Gardner. Under the right coach, there's no reason this Jets defense cannot be elite next year. I do believe they can be elite defense, and with Aaron Glenn, I think the shot that they will. But to me, they need someone with some experience. They need more of an offensive-minded guy. Who this guy is going to bring in? I get he's got some connections with Dan Campbell. Maybe that helps. But Glenn is the next head coach of the Jets. The candidates here are really bad. Outside of Mike Vrabel, who we all know is a very good coach in this league. We'll talk about Ben Johnson very briefly. And other than that, I think Joe Brady would make a very good head coach. The offensive coordinator in Buffalo. Other than that, it's, Liam Cohen. We don't really know what he is. Aaron Glenn. So kind of not sure about. Not sure if he fits today's NFL. And then it's, all right, Mike McCarthy's a retread, but you could do worse. And then you get into just the yikes category of, Kellen Moore. And apparently Robert Saleh might get a second chance, which doesn't make any sense. And and then from there, just this, some of these other guys that are getting interviews, like Steve Spagnuolo's gotten an interview or two. The Jets interviewed Joe Witt, the DC from Washington. The Bears interviewed Anthony Weaver, the DC from Miami. Marcus Framing got an interview. Who's the ex-running back for the Titans that got an interview? He's at Tennessee State now. Eddie George, the whole thing running back, coach at Tennessee State, just got in with the Bears before they chose Ben Johnson. I don't think this is going to work out. It's another defensive guy he's gonna reinforce defense and he's tough-minded and will be a tough football team. And then they'll be 5-12 for 3 straight years. They'll average 16 points a game under him, and then we'll get fired in 3 years. So, don't really love this hire. I don't think this is going to work out at all. And in fact, I don't think it may not be all on Aaron Glenn's fault, but I don't see this ending very well at all for the New York Jets or for Aaron Glenn. But going back to some other coaching hires, the Patriots bring back Josh McDaniels for a third time as offensive coordinator. I think he's a pretty good offensive coordinator. He had Tom Brady for all those years in New England. Obviously, as a head coach, he was brutal. Was brutal in Denver. Was really brutal with the Raiders. Only time he didn't have Brady as a quarterback as an OC was when he had Cam Newton, which obviously went very poorly. But I do think he's a decent offensive coordinator. I think having Tom Brady definitely helped a lot, as it would for any coach. Help Bill, and he's probably the greatest coach of all time. I do think he's a pretty good offensive coordinator. 2 variable picks to be his OC, and the Patriots also picked Terrell Williams to be their defensive coordinator. He was on the Titans staff with variable in Tennessee. He's been the D-line coach in Detroit. He was the D-line coach in Detroit this past season. Remember, he coached a game in preseason 2 years ago in Tennessee. Vrabel let him do that. So it's a guy that Vrabel trusts. I mean, Vrabel's a defensive guy. He'll probably run the defense himself, basically. I'm sure Terrell will help a lot. He may even call the plays, but it's Vrabel's defense at the end of the day. So I think they're decent hires. Obviously, McDaniels is kind of hard to tell if he's truly a good offensive coordinator because of how big he was as a head coach without Tom Brady, and because he always had Tom Brady. But I mean, Drake May is also really talented. I think has a chance to be a great quarterback in this league for a long time. So it's not like he has Will Levis as his quarterback or Russell Wilson at this point in his career as his quarterback or anything like that. So he's once again the OC with New England for the third time, for his third stint in New England as the offensive coordinator. But Titans bring in Mike Borgonzi as their general manager. Borgonzi Was with the Chiefs for a while. I think this is a good hire. I did not like them letting go of Rand Carver. I think that was kind of stupid. He hadn't done a great job so far, but he's only been there for 2 years. You fired, Vrabel because so you could keep Carfin as the GM, and then you fired the GM a year later, but keep Brian Callen. Didn't make any sense, but he's been with the Chiefs for a long time, since 2009. I think he will make a very good GM. I think this is a good hire by the Tennessee Titans, and he has the number 1 overall pick in the draft, so he's already on the clock, of course. And with that, the big news I want to cover today is the Chicago Bears hire Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator, as their next head coach. Johnson's been with Dan Campbell for a while. He was with Campbell. I think when he was on the Dolphins staff when Campbell was the tight ends coach there, and he was the interim coach there that 1 year after they fired Joe Philbin. I think that was back in 2017 or something like that. And he's been on the Lions staff since Campbell took over, and he's been the offensive coordinator the last few years for the Detroit Lions. Look, I think Ben Johnson is really smart. I think he's a really smart guy, brilliant offensive mind, really good play caller. As highly touted as he was, I have a few doubts. First of all, we see a lot of times you have a team that's got a young quarterback and they go for like a quarterback whisperer or like that young off-the-mind head coach, and it doesn't always work. Arizona tried to pair Cliff Kingsbury with Kyler Murray. That didn't work. They just tried to pair Sam Darnold with Adam Gase. That really didn't work. So we've seen this not work out so well time and time again. Mike McDaniel and Tua, to me, hasn't been a very big success. Meanwhile, you see Dan Quinn in Washington with Jaden Daniels this year worked out very well. Yes, you got to give credit to Cliff Kingsbury as the OC, but still, I think Dan Quinn deserves a lot of credit as well. So you see a lot more of those pairings actually working out a little bit better. So I have some skepticism. Also, Johnson, I don't think he's a bad guy. It seems like the players do like him. I don't think the players dislike him by any means. I think the players do like. And he's very demanding, but he just wants to get the best out of his players. I can't hate on that whatsoever. He's not the most social guy in the world. Bit of an introvert. He's honestly a little awkward socially, which is fine. There's a lot of socially awkward guys out there. I was like that once. I feel for people who are socially awkward. It is not a bad thing. If that's how you are, that's how you are. It's being social can be a little tough in today's day and age. I get it. That's fine. I'm not trying to make fun of them. I promise. But at the same time, when you're coaching an NFL team, you have 53 different personalities on the roster. You have a whole other coaching staff. You got to work with your front office and ownership. Being a little socially awkward, especially in a bigger market like Chicago. It's not New York or LA, but Chicago's still pretty big when it comes to market. Doesn't always fly. His defensive coordinator is probably going to be Dennis Allen, who was a dreadful head coach. Not a bad DC. I'll take him as defensive coordinator, honestly, but they really need someone with a little more personality. I feel like to be his defensive coordinator. First of all, obviously he's got to hire a big name defensive coordinator because he's an offensive guy. And they also, to me, need someone who, a little more extravagant. And Dennis Allen is not that. In fact, he's probably even worse than Johnson in that matter. So I don't think that's a great pick. So I'm a little worried of how he's going to fill out his staff. I'm not sure if he'll be able to do that properly. And again, pairing with Caleb Williams, I'm not sure if that's as glorious and golden as people say it is. People are saying it is. The Washington job that he turned down because he wanted to keep Sam Howell. I would have taken that job over this job, or really any of these jobs that are available. So I think he kind of goofed up there. So this on the surface, it looks like a great hire. I'm not sure if it's as much as the home run people are saying it is. Also, he's a little socially awkward, a bit of an introvert, a little awkward. I'm not sure if he'll be able to. This is a guy, when he's just coaching the offense, the guy is a phenomenal offensive coordinator. If he were to if in 3 years, if he gets fired as a head coach on Black Monday, by Tuesday, he'll have an OC job somewhere. That kind of thing. But I don't know if he'll be able to manage the entire team and all the different personalities. I'm not sure if he's fit to be a head coach, at least not right now. I know it's a little bit surprising. I've been high on him for a while, but as I thought about, like, I don't know, but so it's the Bears. They can't get the quarterback position right. Things always go wrong. They're no different than the New York Jets. It's hard for me to, when they've had no success at all in the last 15 years. You obviously haven't sniffed a Super Bowl for the most part. I mean, I know they went there like 15 years ago with Lovie Smith or so, but really haven't gotten close besides that. Really since they won in '85. So I think it's overall a pretty good hire for now. This is one of those things. If it works, they found their franchise head coach. He might be able to fix Caleb Williams. He obviously knows the division. This could completely turn the Bears around for the better. Though if it doesn't work out, the Bears will be in the same just NFL purgatory that they've been for the betterment of the last 35, 40 years. So I'll say that when it comes to Ben Johnson being the next head coach of the Bears. Before we close out, I want to announce some wrestling news. WWE and TNA have finalized a official multi-year partnership. They had a little kind of a not so official agreement. You were letting TNA says go on in NXT. Like Joe Hendry did his little run in NXT. Wesley's a top NXT guy. He was in TNA for a while. There's a lot of WWE guys who were also wrestling TNA for a long time. AJ Styles is a TNA legend, obviously. Samoa Joe was in TNA for a while. Before went to WWE. Now he's in AEW. It has been for a little while now. So it was not super uncommon. The Hardys were in TNA for a while, and then they went to WWE and to AEW, and they're back in TNA. Kurt Angle, I believe, was in TNA for a while back. So it's not. I think this is a very good partnership. I know some people are saying, "Oh, it could end badly." I don't see how it ends badly. So they don't want Joe Hendry in WWE. I mean, the way the fans love him alone, I don't see why it's not worth a try. I mean, he looks pretty good when he was in the ring with Trick Williams, and he's nothing else. He's a draw. Dolph Ziggler, also known as his real name is obviously Nick Nemeth. He's in TNA now since WWE let him go. Could they maybe bring him back briefly to do some brief stuff in WWE? And I think go the other way. I would think it would be awesome if AJ Styles went back to TNA. He's at the end of his career. Why not go back to TNA for one more run? I think that would be freaking awesome. So I think this is really cool. I'm very excited. Thank you, Triple H. Thank you, Nick Khan. Thank you, WWE. I think this is going to be a really good partnership. And that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.